Yes, hi. Welcome to the question that is answering. I'm too lazy to say anything else, so, is Fear a villain who is bad just because he is? No. There's a reason why they're doing what they're doing, but I won't elaborate on that, because that's a big spoiler. Other than Red Dungeon and new intro, what changes can be expected to be added in 4.0? Well, the Red Dungeon is getting put aside for now because of my lack of motivation, but there's quite a lot being reworked in this update. I don't want to spoil too much, but a few examples are hopefully a much better combat system, more equipment, a way better tutorial, some new weapons, and a rework to the curse mechanic. Of course, there's a lot to come from this update, especially the content that's been put aside. In other words, when the Red Dungeon does get added, the full version of 4.0 will be done. How many extra hidden dungeons will there be? There's only plans for 2 more because each of them needs a set of blocks, but Minecraft doesn't have an infinite amount, especially doors. I guess technically it's possible to have dungeons without doors, but we will still need at least decorative options, so for now, brown, cyan, and pink are the only hidden dungeons. There might be more in the future, who knows. There will be a herd mode. Hard mode was just a temporary name. Update 4.0 will mention it as unknown interference, which I also will not elaborate on since that's also a big spoiler. But the name does have a reason behind it. Anyways, I don't have many plans for that right now since I'm focused on the first half of the story. When will infected be back up? Should be relatively soon, actually. I won't go into the details, but it could be within the next week or 2. We'll see. Will lore change? The lore will change in Update 4.0, but outside of that, I don't know if anything else will change. Probably not, unless I get some better ideas for existing lore. Other than that, I'd probably just polish some of the existing lore already. Removing like edgy stuff and whatever. I had a lot of cringy ideas and I didn't really like it. Especially dialogue for Ruby, she was too edgy. Honestly, a lot of time is spent trying to come up with dialogue that isn't complete garbage. What made you want to recreate Cavern inside of Minecraft? That takes me back a few years ago. I believe I came across that video of Cavern Reborn. I don't remember if it was an OST video or gameplay, but I didn't know it existed. I got on Roblox and played it. After beating all the keepers, I wondered if I could make my own version. I knew that Minecraft had recently, at the time, added custom model data, which is how we handle the models for our version. So I gave it a go. But I never actually thought it'd go anywhere. I kinda just did it to see if I could do it. It was only when people started asking about it that I worked on it more, and well, here we are now. What was the most annoying, funniest bug you've encountered working on the Cavern remake? Oh boy, there have been a lot of bugs. The most annoying was probably the blue boss's crystals before they got removed. I remember they would drop down incorrectly. They wouldn't have the same drop time as the rise time, so the more they came down, the higher they were. Eventually you'd get soft locked if you didn't break them fast enough because you couldn't reach them. I remember that gave me a migraine because of how pissed I got. The funniest one, it was definitely my attempt at adding yo-yos the first time, based off the original concept. I threw it and it kinda just went flying to the left, slammed into the wall, and shot into the ceiling. You can imagine how confused I was, but it was pretty funny. Have you tried adding something into any of the games, but it couldn't work because it was unbalanced and not possible? If so, what was it? Mulpie and I tried to add whips to the game. We could get a generic concept down where it'd throw then pull you, but it was slow because if we made it too fast, it just clipped through the walls. But it wasn't functional in multiplayer. Only one person could use it at a time. We just gave up on it. Another thing that got scrapped early on were stealth boots and invincible boots. Both of these wouldn't work without doubling the lag. As much as I'd add them again, I don't think they're balanced, honestly. Especially stealth boots. Those things were broken. If you could change something about Minecraft, what would it be? Enchanting. I hate the enchanting mechanic so much. It's super grindy and all luck based. I hate stuff like that. Especially when they force you to grind for an hour just to get another 5 chances, which usually never work out. I don't know how I'd change it, but I like the idea of manually selecting enchantments and upgrading them along the way, even if it means you have to somehow acquire an enchanted book that you want, whether it be from exploring or making it at the enchanting table with certain materials. I think that'd be a lot more fun. Can you tell how far the update is done? With percent maybe. I can't really give a precise or accurate percentage because I don't know what will be added. But if I had to guess, we're probably about 40% done with the update. Why will the yellow dungeon be only available after the update? Wasn't blue dungeon also done? Only yellow dungeon will be available because of my motivation. Blue dungeon is done, but I do have to add stuff to it because of update 4.0. Stuff like mini bosses, giving sadness smooth animations, and a few other things. I just don't want to overload myself with stuff to add right now, I guess. But it shouldn't be too long after 4.0 that Blue Dungeon gets released again. That'll be my focus after 4.0. Then when Blue is back out, I'll get back to Red. Do you like Spirit Tracks? Haven't played it, but I looked up gameplay and it looks pretty neat. Will there be like some magic stuff, like wands that could deal damage or something? There already are magic weapons, they're staffs. I don't know what more will be added that uses mana though, except the Plasma Blaster, but that's not being added until Red Dungeon is released. Will you be able to take off the hats of shopkeepers and maybe Purity even if he probably kills you for it? You'll be able to get the shopkeeper hats, I just don't know how I want to do it yet. I never liked the idea of just swiping it off of them. I considered a mechanic where you could steal it, but they'd get mad at you and refuse to sell anything. But I didn't want to punish other players with something another player did. I also didn't want to lock the shop out from the player that took it. I could confirm that they will be available in Update 4.0, I just don't know how they'll be obtained yet. As for Purity, I don't think I'll ever be letting anyone get his hat, or maybe it'll be granted for beating both stories. How are you? Dead inside. What are some of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome for CC's development? Any coding bits that were real head scratchers? Funnily enough, my biggest challenge during development was way back at the start of the project when I wasn't serious about it. I remember being awful at data packs. They were very badly put together and not optimized at all. I struggled with the generator despite it having no randomization of the rooms. Enemies were a pain to get working and basically none of them had attacks. It was a pretty crappy time back then. But honestly, working on this has taught me a lot of things that will help me with future projects. Currently, I think the hardest part about adding fully new content is trying to get a template down. I always have templates for stuff like cutscenes and such, but creating those templates is very difficult and takes a lot of time. Once I do though, things go pretty smoothly. When do you think you'll be able to finish this project? I wouldn't consider the project being finished for another few years. Development is pretty slow. It might speed up if I can find a music composer, but so far everyone who has worked on the OST has been silent. So I'm having trouble deciding what to do about that. Not really sure if I can find anyone who would work for free that also matches the current OST. Other than that though, I just don't feel motivated enough to work as often as I used to. Which sucks, cause I don't want to give up on this project. Did you play Voxel Blade? And what do you think about it? Nope, I haven't played that. Looked into it and it seems alright. I don't usually play those types of games though. QnA question. Which of the keepers is your favorite? That's a tough one, so I'll split it into two. For gameplay, I'm definitely gonna have to go with Determination. The whole mostly head-on melee concept is really fun. I look forward to reworking that fight. For design, I think I'm a bit stuck between Envy and Joy. They both turned out really nice in the end, but I'm not sure which one I like more. Will Pooplet be added? If you're referring to this thing, I'm gonna have to say, what is the theme of the Pink Dungeon? Okay, the one with friendship as the boss. I don't know what the Pink Dungeon is gonna have yet, because we haven't worked on it. We worked on Sign a little, but that got put aside once we started redoing dungeons. Currently, all that exists for Pink is the model for the boss. Also, Pink Boss isn't friendship anymore, they're pain. The friendship part of the lore is old and to be replaced by better lore later. I'm actually doing that with every keeper. I didn't like their old lore. The new lore is much better. You'll see it in 4.0. Well, that's all the questions. I guess I'm gonna go drink an inverted spoon and fly to the moon. There's only plans for 2 more. Because of them. No! Fuck. That takes back a few years ago. That takes back fully. What the fuck? Blue Dungeon is done, but I do have to add some stuff to it because of update. Really? Why will the yellow dungeon be only available after the update? God. I just didn't want to overload Funnily enough, my biggest challenge during development was way back at the start of the project when I wasn't serious about it. I remember. God.